support for the goals of the bill that we co-sponsored with Don Young to ban imports of Russian seafood. But I also want to be clear that this IUU bill is separate from the Don Young Russian seafood ban bill. And this IUU bill was introduced before all of the Ukraine mess and before Don Young had introduced his bill. So there's the Don Young bill that we're a co-sponsor of on Russian seafood being banned, and then there's the IUU bill that we've co-sponsored with the chair. So I just wanted to distinguish the two. Our IUU bill was introduced, and I don't claim, as you stated in your testimony, that the Russian ban is meaningless unless the SIMP program is immediately expanded. I think they're separate, but they're important pieces of legislation. The goal is to combat slave labor, prevent human rights abuses, protect our resources, and I think provide consumers with a choice. Like that's really what the objective is there. But in order for them to have a choice, you've got to be able to distinguish. And so the SIMP helps to distinguish what their choices are. And you've got to provide that information to consumers. So Ms. Lahart, similar to what's required of our domestic seafood producers, your testimony points out that additional overhead would be incurred as a result of compliance with traceability and with transparency. We did, with Mr. Huffman, try to make a concerted effort to improve and automate the process. But I'll tell you, I'm all ears in regard to other ideas or feedback on how we can maintain traceability and transparency and accountability while streamlining it. So I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts or reaction on that.
I thank you very much, Representative. I think that's the point. We're rushing forward with this legislation to address the conflict in Ukraine. But this concept is something that has been chugging along, and the NCBFAA has been working with NOAA and suggesting that they talk to the Food and Drug Administration and giving them examples of ways that this could be addressed, blockchain, artificial intelligence. The Food and Drug Administration is doing some wonderful things with artificial intelligence. We have ACE 2.0 that's coming up from Customs that is going to revolutionize the way that we file entries. So I think the key is to look at all of these different things that could be leveraged to do this. But if we rush this legislation through, it may be too late to take some of those actions. So my chief concern is that we pass a bill that would be imperfect on a program that's already been admittedly described as imperfect, when we could make this a much, much better program, much more robust, and stop goods from coming into this country illegally. Thank you.
Okay, so just a couple things. Number one, let's keep in mind, I mean, you talk about rushing through, the bill is largely already passed the House through Competes and Coast Guard, but also this bill was introduced, Mr. Huffman, I want to say spring of last year, right? Didn't we? Yeah, so spring of, I'm sorry?
You are correct.
Okay, so you know, nobody looks at Congress as the model of efficiency, but you know, it's certainly been around for a while, and I don't know that there's any rushing going on. I'll tell you again, I am all ears in regard to ideas that you may have to help to streamline or prevent, you know, additional cost, but still achieving the objective of the traceability, the accountability, the transparency that's there. Because I don't speak for Mr. Huffman, but I think those are our real objectives here, and it also helps to provide the consumer's choice, and the only way they have the choice is if we know some of those some of those facts and are able to communicate to consumers. Look, last, I just want to say that I'm wrapping up. I just want to say that the objective of this bill, we're one of the largest seafood producers in the United States. The objective of this bill of holding countries like China and Russia accountable that have some of the worst illegal fishing fleets in the world, that is unfair competition, it is overfishing, it's lack of sustainable practices, and these are objectives that we should all be sharing. So I want to thank Mr. Huffman again